They didn't like my last answer, they're leaving.
My question is this. I know Michigan is having a lot of money troubles, but what will happen to the people who use Medicaid? There are too many people on Medicaid that do not need to be. And my question is, what is someone going to do about this? There are many people on Medicaid who also need it. I can't get Medicaid, and I have 3 diseases that are hard to manage. So that's all.
No, Medicaid's a big topic, and actually we put together a whole white paper. We did a roundtable meeting, a white paper largely focused on Medicaid last year, and the reason we did that, all the federal stuff was going on. We want to focus on where you can make a real difference right here in Michigan. And there's areas for key improvement. First, provide better outcomes for people, to show better results, but actually at a much lower cost. And one of the flaws in our system is we're not doing enough at the primary care level. We need to get to what's called a medical home model, where there's a primary care physician relationship, as opposed to having it where these people, quite often that need help, just go to the ER. Because if you go analyze the numbers, I'll give you strep throat as an illustration. If someone comes down with strep throat, if they have a primary care relationship that's reasonable, they can be treated for probably about $50 or $60. If they end up going to the emergency room, which is quite often their only course of action because of our flawed system, not their issue, but because of the flaws of how we operate, is between $500 and $600. Now, this is a case, again, where the government model is broken of short-term thinking about cutting the primary thing, thinking it's saving money. It's actually backwards. We need to invest more on frontline medical care, also adding in wellness. The key thing we need to do are create wellness programs, positive incentives for people to stay healthy, as opposed to relying on ER visits and specialists. There's huge opportunity there, and we need to do that, and we need to figure out how to help people that really have need and get them medical care.
You know, if we end up agreeing on health care, people are going to say we got to run together. I got to be careful. I got to be careful here. Now, let me say, first of all, I didn't get your name, but I'd be happy to work with you to address your issues, to help work through the system. If you feel you should be getting assistance from the state that you're not getting, I've got some experience there helping people. I'd be happy to do some constituent work with you. So if you want, I'd like to get your name and number. If you want to give me that afterwards, I'd be happy to go to bat for you. On the issue of Medicaid, it is terribly complex and cumbersome. It's a complex system. But we need to make sure that the people who need it get it. And if there's fraud that you're talking about, we're not going to tolerate it. We're absolutely going to root that out across the board in state government. Across the board. We can't afford it. We also have an opportunity here. You know, national health care reform is happening. And Michigan has some decisions to make. Michigan has some work to do to get ready to take full advantage of the federal dollars that are available under national health care. And so I can assure you we're going to take all the steps necessary to do that, and to do it early so that we get the full federal drawdown on those dollars, especially for mental health. If we act early and we do it properly, we can leverage a lot more of those federal dollars to do some of the things we were talking about, in particular in mental health, to provide care for people before they end up in the prison system.
Good evening. In the past year, the overall state funding has decreased by about 10%. However, comparatively, older adult programs and services have decreased by almost 15%, and in the past 2 years by 18%, when, interestingly enough, some of the services can actually allow for a federal match. How do you plan on supporting older adult program and services, either of you, if you're governor?
Well, number one, we're not going to leave federal dollars on the table. That's the first thing we're not going to do, whether it's in Medicaid or older adult services or children's services or mental health or transportation. We're not going to leave federal dollars on the table. When those federal dollars are available to Michigan, we've got to budget properly and set the right priorities so that we're getting the maximum drawdown of those federal available dollars. And, you know, I've been able to do it. I'm just telling you, in the city of Lansing, we've done it. It wasn't easy. It is not easy. I had to close a couple golf courses. I had to do some other things that weren't popular, but that's what leadership is about. So we'll make the necessary adjustments to get the maximum dollars that are out there. And then it's a matter of priorities. The least among us, you know, it goes with people who need help, people with illness, are very young, and are very old, need to be taken care of first. And that will be my general, that's my value system, and the budget will reflect that. My dad's 85 years old, he's retired, you know, he's earned a modest pension from General Motors. I believe that, you know, those covenants should be honored. I believe that we got to, you know, we should take care of, again, those people first.
Okay, gentlemen, we have time for.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
see, there's no bias here. I'm getting shut down. On the older people's programs, I mean, again, all those kind of programs, which are very important, because we do need to help people, and be in a very humane fashion saying, how do we help people succeed at all ages? We need to look at for early childhood. But what we do need to do are show outcomes and results, instead of simply having programs that are activities and spend money. So the real question is, how do we measure real results to make sure we've got the very best programs, making the most difference in whatever group's lives we're talking about, and doing that very effectively and efficiently. The second piece that goes with that, with great customer service, the second piece that goes with that is, in many cases, it shouldn't be someone showing up from Lansing saying, we're here to help. It should be Lansing figuring out ways to do public-private partnerships, involving the communities, involving people in the neighborhoods, involving people on the ground that understand the issues in those communities, and creating positive partnerships that really can be much more effective. And if you look at the history, they're going to be much more cost-effective and provide better results than typically a government program. And that's a great case on economic development I did with Ann Arbor Spark. It was a public-private partnership. It wasn't the government helping. It was people coming together to help people in a specific area. That's the approach we need to take.
We have time for one more.
I just feel honored I get to be the last question answered. I am a lifelong Democrat, so I have to tell you that I voted for you in the primary, and it's first for me. And so I'm especially honored that you invited a Democrat to come to your Republican presentation. But you are going to be running a state, or you are going to be running a state, one of you, and you won't be able to fire the people that got elected by your constituents and by the people of the state, so as you can in business or as mayor. So help me understand, you guys both said some wonderful things. How do you have that happen? How do you build those teams in your political groups when you are facing such diversity among the people you have to work with to make the things you want to happen?
Sure, let me speak about the legislature, because I think that's the prime direction you were headed in many respects. If you think about it, regardless of party label, a person going through the process, believe me, I know it's like the campaign, the mayor does too, it's a big sacrifice. And the people running for all these offices are making a personal sacrifice. They want to go help people. So all our legislators are well-intentioned people trying to make a real difference. Now the problem is we've got this broken culture. They show up in Lansing and poof, what happens? Nothing. Yeah. And that's the problem. So my view is you got people that have their hearts in the right place. What they need is a partner showing up in Lansing to say, here is a vision for the state about not a win-lose attitude, but an inclusive attitude about how we win together. It's about having that plan, and it's about taking action. And my view is we need to step away from that paralysis of saying, let's argue about the extremes, that if you lay out how we view these issues, 50 to 80% of the time, it's all common ground. Let's advance the common ground. Let's win together. Let's start changing this culture from negative to positive and do it as a team. And when you create a positive path for success, people are going to join in. And we just need to bring that attitude. And that's where I need that fire and passion for you when you go in that voter's booth and later to remind us all that we're on that positive path. So keep that energy.
I appreciate the question. I think it's a very good one. I would just say, you know, I've been able to do it, both in the legislature and as mayor. I've crossed the aisle. I spent a lot of time working with Republicans when I was a Democratic legislator. The Democrats used to razz me about spending so much time on the other side of the aisle. I had good friends there that are still good friends who are Republicans. And as mayor, I run on a nonpartisan ticket. I can tell you a lot of Republican support, a lot of Republicans who vote for me. And of course, when I ran for re-election as mayor, I was endorsed by the Lansing Regional Chamber of Commerce, also by the State Chamber of Commerce, because I have brought everybody together as mayor to get things done. When the election's over, the election's over. You know, we run as Republican and Democrat. We agree on a lot of things based on what I've heard tonight. So we're not bitter enemies, nor should we be. And when the election's over, the election's over. And you put together your cabinet, you put the best cabinet together, Democrat or Republican. You work with it starts right then. It starts in the transition. It starts in the cabinet that you appoint. It starts in reaching out to the legislators, Democrat and Republican. I'm going to work with everybody and hope that we can build something better. I think we both hope that we can build something better. And I just tell you, I've done it. As mayor, I've done it. I've gotten results in Lansing, working with everybody, with a lot of Republican support. I'm proud of it. I'm pro-business. I've laid out the red carpet instead of the red tape for business, and I've done it in Lansing, and we're going to do it in the state of Michigan.
Would you like to close? And then, 2 or 3 minutes. What? You go so fast, you can probably do 3 times as much as I cover in that time frame.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank Rick for being so gracious as to let me be a part of the forum, and thank you all for opening your ears for me. I appreciate that. And I think this shows that, again, that we're not bitter enemies, that we all love Michigan, and it's about that moving forward. And I hope that we can build on this, Rick, and do a couple forums televised that will be, you know, as civilized, I'm sure, as this. And so I hope we can work that out. I think the people of Michigan deserve that. Thank you. It can't just be commercials. This is part of the democratic process, and again, I appreciate it. You know, I talked about my father coming here, and it means a lot to me that what he went through to give the American dream to his children. And the American dream wasn't necessarily for him to get filthy rich. He's not. But I know he feels rich because of the experience that he's had and the success of his family and the opportunities that he was able to afford to his